Welcome to Tigrai Television. I'm Erin Imana. We'll be presenting the news for you today. Stay tuned. On Wednesday, Ethiopian Government Communication Service Ministry said it will not allow the International Commission of Human Rights Expert on Ethiopia to hold investigations if there are disagreements on modalities of the engagement. The Ethiopian government stated that investigations must be carried out starting from June of 2021, saying previous crimes were investigated under the joint report of Ethiopia's state-appointed Human Rights Commission and UN's Higher Commissioner for Human Rights, while the International Commission insisted it will only take the joint report as an input and will investigate all crimes committed since November of 2020, as it is mandated by the UN. It's to be recalled that the Ethiopian government has opposed the funding of the commission until it has lost the majority majority vote. The government of Tigray, on the other hand, issued a statement on the eve of arrival on the UN's commission to reiterate on the need to include all warring parties in the investigation for it to be credible. Tigrai is a world champion who won the gold medal for women's 5,000 meters at the World Championship in Oregon. While Gudaf continues to capture the world's imagination, her parents in southern Tigray remain on the brink following Ethiopia's war on Tigray and the siege that followed. Our reporters traveled to Bora, southern Tigray, and met with her parents that say that they were thrilled to hear of her victory. Her parents also expressed the difficulties of living under a siege and their hopes to once again meet their daughter. Salome Tigrai has the details.
Gudaf Tigrai won the gold medal for women's 5,000 meters at the World Athletics Champion that was recently held in Oregon, USA. While Gudaf continues to capture imagination and amuse the world, the champion's parents in southern Tigray remain disconnected from the rest of the world with very limited information about their daughter's achievements. We traveled to Bora in southern Tigray and met with Gudaf's parents, Tigrai Desta and Tsahaynesh Hadush, who say they learned about their daughter's victory on a neighbor's television screen.
Because of the situation that we have been in, I haven't met my daughter. It's almost been 2 years. Before, she used to call me, but after the cutting of telecommunication service last year, I haven't spoken to her. We hadn't heard about her victory on time. We learned about it later.
People who have TV sets told us that she came in the second place at her first race. Then they told us that she had come in the first place in another race. Those with TVs started congratulating us.
During the occupation of Tigray by Ethiopian forces and their allies from Eritrea, just like the houses of many across Tigray, Gudaf's parents say their house had been raided and looted.
There were jewelries. They took it. They also took money. They killed our ox as well. They caused us a lot of trouble. They took all kinds of properties, even plates and pots.
They carried everything they could with them, even children's clothes. They have destroyed all they could.
The year-long siege, where the delivery of essentially needed food aid, medications, fuel, and all forms of commercial goods has been at its lowest, has also affected the house of the world champion. Her entire family is among the millions of Tigrayans who are being made to starve to death. Her parents say they are in a terrible situation.
Before, we had a stable life and we were self-sufficient. But now, because of the enemy, we are in a trouble situation.
There are no banking and phone services. Those who were self-sufficient have nothing now. It's very terrible for everyone, including ourselves.
Her parents and sisters say, despite the difficulty they're facing now, they hope to see Gudaf soon and asked us to pass their messages.
Stay strong. May we meet soon. We were very happy to hear about your victory. Your sisters and brothers are happy too. The people of Tigray at large are so happy about your victory.
Congratulations. We are very happy. We hope to meet you soon. The sun will rise.
My sister, we are very happy. All our neighbors are happy as well. Keep up the good job. We are so happy about your championship.
The people of Ago are a minority ethnic group in the Amhara region, living in areas bordering Tigray. The Ago people, like many others in northern Ethiopia, are affected by the war on Tigray, as the Allied forces looted and destroyed most of their private as well as public infrastructures. The all-encompassing siege that followed has also exacerbated their condition, making their lives unbearable. Our reporters visited Saria Health Center in Birbita, Ago, where the patients say that their and their children's lives have become agonizing as access to medical treatment and medication remains limited. Sarun Tsagai has the report.
This is Saria Health Center in Birbita in Ago, a minority group living in the Amhara region. The hospital, just like other infrastructures in the area, was looted and vandalized by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. The residents tell us that they are unable to get proper medical assistance due to the destruction and the siege.
When this health facility was founded, we were hopeful that our families would get proper medical treatment when they needed it. But just when it started to give service, Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers came and destroyed it, crushing all our hopes. On top of this, we are suffering due to the siege. Patients are dying because they are unable to get medicine.
My child started vomiting as well as diarrhea about 3 days ago. We came here hoping to get medication, but they told us they have nothing because the roads are blocked. Most mothers gave birth at home. Others travel as far as Bora and other areas to give birth.
As you can see, my daughter gets some kind of rush on her neck. I don't know what it is. I even took her to a hospital, but they told me there is no medicine. They told me to take her to my Joe, but I can't take her. I have no money, so I'm just sitting at home.
Health professional Tigrai tells us that the hospital did not only give service to the residents of Birbita, but also neighboring districts. But now, Tigrai says the hospital is unable to provide even the most basic services. Every equipment in the hospital, including the delivery unit, completely destroyed by Ethiopian and Eritrean forces.
As you can see, there is no medication here. The room is filled with destroyed equipment. Even the doors have been smashed. When the Allied forces first came here, every door was closed, so they forcefully smashed the doors and came to destroy the equipment. As a result, our community is suffering due to lack of access to medical care.
Local official Allefa Brhanu says that the world needs to do more to ensure that residents of the area are able to access food and other essentials such as medical supplies.
There are patients dying on the road and even here in the hospital. No one should die due to lack of medication or aid. So my message to the international community is that they should take concrete action to prevent the deaths of innocent civilians.
The termination of basic services on Tigray by the Ethiopian government, coupled with the ongoing siege, has devastated the living conditions of many in Tigray. The situation is even more dire on those with special needs. Our reporter, Aragayu Garamikail, spoke with Brahana Zamikail, a university lecturer with special needs, to see how he's been coping.
Brahana Zamikail is a lecturer at Mekelle University within the Department of Accounting and Finance. Brahana says his disability was a result of a spinal injury that did not get proper medical attention at the time. He tells us that despite his great love of education, he was forced to discontinue learning for years due to his injury.
I was fine until grade 8, but I became sick after that. There weren't health facilities in the area where I grew up. Gradually, I became paralyzed. Before my injury, I had a great love of education. I was one of the best students in my class. But after I became ill, I had to stop going to school for more than 5 years. I didn't know how to start living life with disability.
It would take Brahana years before he finally get back to confidence to go back to school. But he tells us that once he went back, he enjoyed it more than anything.
My brother had come to Mekelle to attend university, and after he completed his education and brought me here, so I had the chance to start a new life. I hadn't had any help before, I started school because I was sick of sitting around all day. But then once I started, I loved it. And I started getting good grades again. I completed my 10th grade education with straight A's.
Brahana says that he continues to achieve good grades in his education, and finally he was able to graduate on the field of accounting and finance with a cumulative grade of 3.93 from Mekelle University, and the school decided to keep him on as a lecturer.
I joined Mekelle University and studied accounting and finance. By the time I joined the university, I was adapted to my new way of life and started to dream of a better future.
After years of challenges, Brahana was finally able to be self-reliant and had even started to support family members.
After I got a job at Mekelle University, I started to help my youngest brother and my parent. They are old now and don't have much. So I live here with two of my brothers and my nephew with me as a primary breadwinner. But since the start of the war, life has been very difficult. I haven't had a salary for a year now.
Brahana says his disability makes life even more difficult as medical care remains difficult to access.
Cost of The cost of living is high for a person living with disability. We need wheelchair and continuous medical follow-ups. As I'm immobile, so I am vulnerable to a lot of diseases.
Over 4 months in total, the humanitarian route declared by Ethiopian government in the most vulnerable communities have continued to suffer, with millions in urgent need of assistance.
Improved access to agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, improved seeds, and pesticides has increased the level of production for farmers in Tigray over the past decade. But the year-long siege on the region has meant that these farmers have not been able to access these inputs and have already started to sow their lands without them. Our reporter Winta Kidana met one farmer in the district of Faltaulalo, a father of 6, who is afraid he will not be able to feed his children with his harvest. Winta Kidana reports.
ገብረ እግዚአብሔር Tigrai is a farmer in the district of Wuqro, eastern Tigray. Like all farmers in Tigray, ገብረ እግዚአብሔር is concerned about the planting season. Most farmers in Tigray have not had access to basic agricultural inputs such as fertilizers, pesticides, or improved seeds, and they're concerned that they will produce no too little to feed their family members.
There is no seed, there is no fertilizer too. The blockade has made things quite difficult for farmers in Tigray. I don't know if the land will be able to grow anything without fertilizers. It's gotten used to it already. We're using composts as an alternative, but I don't think it will work.
ገብረ እግዚአብሔር says agricultural inputs are essential for a farmer's productivity, and that is in this time.
I don't have my own land, but I rent this plot and plowing it with my own oxen, and share half the product with its owner. I have never plowed this land without fertilizers. I used to plant improved seeds of wheat here with the help of experts. When we had access to fertilizers and improved seeds, this small plot of land used to give me 10 quintals.
ገብረ እግዚአብሔር says the impacts of the siege has been devastating for him and his family, who are now going to bed on an empty stomach.
I am a breadwinner of my family. I have 7 kids. All of them used to go to school. Plowing this land was how I used to provide for them. My kids used to have more than enough to eat, enough clothes, and anything else they needed. I had a good life, but now kids have nothing to eat. They go to sleep on empty stomach. It's hard to see that as a father.
The situation was somewhat similar last year during the occupation of Ethiopian and Eritrean forces. According to ገብረ እግዚአብሔር, he says soldiers used to threaten farmers who were plowing their lands.
Last year, we were told not to plow our lands by both Ethiopian and Eritrean soldiers. We did the first round of plowing whenever after ensuring they were not around. If they somehow find us working in the land, they would interrogate us to know why we were plowing or doing anything at all with our land. Later, they killed 3 members of a family in their farm and in front of their kids. They forbid their families from burying the bodies. They left the bodies in the farm for days, so to terrorize other farmers into obeying them.
The devastating impact the siege has had on Tigrayan household is perhaps indescribable, but the impact of the siege on farmers is an indication of how much more catastrophic things could get in Tigray.
Well, that's it for me today. Thank you for tuning in.